Good morning, guys. I thought I'd take you on a little bit of a garden tour. It's very early in the morning before my family gets up. And I know some of you would like to come see, but don't feel comfortable because of COVID. So, yeah, just thought I'd take you around a little bit. My Rose of Sharon's are starting to bloom. And every morning I get up and I come out before everybody's awake and spend some time with the Lord. You'll see random toys and things laying around the yard too because, well, that's how it is. Over here we have a little garden I started on July 4th weekend. We moved one of the sandboxes up front up here where we get full sun. And look how lovely it's doing. These are cucumbers. And there's lots and lots of beautiful flowers that will soon be cucumbers that we can pick and harvest. Over here we have some potatoes that I'm trying in pots for the first time. Thought, we won't get as big of a harvest, but just trying it out. On the other side of this contraption, we have some cantaloupe plants, and they're getting flowers as well. I saw a few of them in here yesterday. They look so pretty with raindrops on them. Here we have another spaghetti squash that's on there. Look at all the pretty little flowers, and the pollinators are usually going crazy this time of the morning. And there's a zucchini, down here. Over here we have our raspberries, and there's a pumpkin plant back there. There's some zinnias in pots over here, and some daisy seeds that I planted. Over here we have a plum tomato. And they're on there. Just started some pots of beans here. There's another Roma tomato plant. And we have another zucchini plant. I think a little zucchini in there. I've already picked about 4 tomatoes off of my Wisconsin 55 plant. And I just planted some carrots, hoping for a fall harvest in these buckets. And my little wagon over here has a spaghetti squash on there. Got some little gourds here growing all up into the tree, which is kind of amazing. And beautiful Rose of Sharon's blooming here. These are my raspberry patch over here too, by the way, all amidst these different pots that I have. This is a cherry berry plant that has been doing wonderful. This plant alone has over like 130 tomatoes on it, and we've already gotten about, a dozen or so. Back there's a little pumpkin. See it? Right there. Yep. Alright. Now, as we go around, this is just our sunny area, and I plan to have more up in here someday, but right now this is my nemesis, the basketball hoop. Boys are a little destructive up here, so I have to keep everything in this back corner. So now we enter our shady area, and our arbor is new this year. Over here we have a couple pocintillas, And then my limelight hydrangea has started blooming. Over here, more raspberries and a few cosmos. I love this. This is a false ash spirea, which isn't very showy right now, but in the spring and in the fall, you get these beautiful colored leaves. Look at that. And they also had some really pretty flowers. They look like that now, but they were white and puffy. Very pretty. The cosmos look very pretty with the rain and wetness. So these are going to be morning glories. This is my little prayer garden that I walk through. And I have different things growing over here. All throughout my yard I have little quotes that I've written just to encourage me. And I just think about people I'm praying for and things God's doing in my life. He teaches me so much through my garden about gardening and all of that. And here are some beautiful phlox. Love when my phlox are blooming. I always say it's like peak season, and they're starting over there too. Pretty soon that garden over there will be big and puffy purple like this over here. This is about a week and a half ahead, probably. So these are coreopsis. Now this little garden, this poor little garden, the bunnies ate it down to the ground, and some of it has resurrected. So we have some cherry tomatoes starting to ripen back here. Some of these plants, though, are amazing. Like the amount of tomatoes coming on these. Look at all the flowers on that bunch right there. That's going to be a lot of tomatoes. And my father-in-law taught me that if you give them a little love tap, they're self-pollinating, but it helps them to pollinate. So I come out here every day and give my tomatoes a love tap. And these are some begonias that I took cuttings from another plant, and they actually survived. They're doing well. They've formed new blossoms. But look at all these little things that the bunny ate all the way down to the ground. And they're coming back, but, you know, they're not going to do anything. Maybe the kohlrabi will. I threw in some turnip seeds, so this looks really weedy, but most of that's turnip seeds that I have to weed through. And there's another baby squash plant that I just planted in there. So I should show you my kids' clubhouse. They planted hostas all around it this year. It's kind of messy over here. Sandbox. Okay, so over here, behind the garage, we have another garden. That's where all my pepper plants are. I've got some banana peppers and some mucho nacho peppers and some jalapeno peppers. And then we have some more tomatoes over here. And I did plant some turnip seeds over here. So again, it looks very weedy. And there's onions growing back here. And all along the back, there's hollyhocks. So this is one of the areas I have to tackle soon. Over here, we have sedum and some beautiful elephant ears growing up. Some marigolds in a pot there. And this is going to be just beautiful in a couple days here. Oh, might start raining on us here. Finally got my new phone so I can do that. Wanted to show you guys a citronella plant. Look at that. That's one of the ones I rescued from the garbage. It was totally dead. It's come back. Of course, the Japanese beetles love it, so I actually have to keep my eye on that one. Some beautiful petunias there. Lilies. Oh, here comes some rain, I think. This is my little nursery area. So, I have to show you this. Look at that thing. That's beautiful. Got that at Aldi, actually. It is taken off. Alright, so over here I took some forsythia cuttings from a neighbor's bush, and I did that in the spring, and there's new life, so I think they're going to work. Down here I have some delphinium seeds planted that I will transplant this fall. Down there's some random stuff like Rose of Sharon and stuff like that, sedum. My pansies are really trying to hang on. I'm trying to keep them alive till the fall because I think they'll redo again. I just planted some Swiss chard the day before yesterday. There's my little Kendra Rose down there. I gave her for a piano recital. And 1 year, a long time ago. Alright, so that's kind of my patio garden area. Over back here we have all the fringed loosestrife and some of my flower boxes. And over here I have some gladiolas that are, well, they're falling over is what they're doing. I'm not sure about that, but I'm going to show you up on the patio here. My husband hung lovely hooks this year for me. So that's a vinca, a begonia, candy cane stripe impatiens, another begonia. I have some random hollyhock seeds that I planted through here too. They won't bloom till next year, but there's some more hanging baskets over there, a salmon and a red one. Alright, and then we come to my square foot garden here, and I'll take you around and show you what's in each square. Things change over time, so this is my herb garden. I have rosemary, thyme, sage, some oregano, some chocolate mint, some lemon balm, nasturtiums, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of basil. And I have to say my favorite is this stuff. It's so tiny but so potent and tasty, and they're like little bushes. They're just wonderful. And this stuff is called boxwood basil. This will definitely be one that I have every year from now on because I love it. Alright, and so in this square over here we had in the spring lots of tulips, and so the squash that I've planted here I planted after the tulips died off. This is a purple oxalis shamrock flower thing, and I love it. Of course, they're all wet now, so none of them are really open right now, but it's the most beautiful plant. And in this planter, it just kind of reminds me of a mushroom. I have some kale back here. Hopefully it'll come up for the fall. Over here, I have my astilbe and some nasturtium and crocosmia, chives, some parsley, a random bean plant I did actually plant this whole plant area of beans, and one came up, so I just replanted some more seeds the day before yesterday in hopes to have some beans. Okay, over here, these guys, my tomato plant, sorry, I'm trying to keep this the right way, I'm not a good videographer. Yeah, these tomato plants, I had to actually top them off because they were just getting to a point where they were going to be unmanageable, but they have tons of tomatoes, all of them. Look at all of those. A few of them have ripened already, but for the most part, lots of green tomatoes at the present moment. I get a lot of shade back here, so I usually just grow smaller varieties because it gives them a better chance to be able to ripen and all that. There's one that's almost ready to pick. There's another one down there that's almost ready to pick. But you can see they're loaded, literally loaded, full of tomatoes. Some still have flowers. This is horseradish. I love horseradish leaves. They remind me of curly staircases. You know, the winding staircases? I don't know why. Especially when they're young and they're coming up. They just kind of like, oh, they have that look. I love them. Right over here we have my little lettuce patch, and it does really well back here because it gets so much shade. So it doesn't really bolt or anything. This was full of rhubarb and still kind of is to some extent, but we're done harvesting it for this year. Now all that will go into energy for next year's plant. I got about 6 harvests out of this rhubarb plant this year. That's some sedum that I actually just made cuttings of, stuck in a pot, and they took off. They're doing great. I planted a tiny spaghetti squash plant here just a couple weeks ago to see if it would take off and maybe replace the rhubarb, but we'll see how that goes. Over here we have a ton more, tons more tomatoes going. They're all over. This plant is loaded. More parsley. A few more bean plants. Chives. Keeping those pansies going. Hopefully for fall, because they'll love that cold weather. Now this tomato plant over here I'm excited about because I learned that if you take, when you prune your tomato plants, if you take the cuttings, you can actually just stick them in the ground and they'll grow. And it's a little spindly, but it did. It took off. It's growing. So there's some flowers on it down there. And I see a flower right up there. So it might do something. Kind of fun thing to learn. You can double the amount of tomatoes you have if you want to. There's just a little random daisy. We have another tomato plant over here. Some of them are starting to ripen as well. Lots. I mean, it's really just loaded with tomatoes. Okay, now over here I had allium and Star of Bethlehem, and I just dug those out, I don't know, a couple weeks ago maybe. And so in here I planted all bachelor button seeds, so they won't bloom until probably September, but we'll get a few flowers before the fall. Over here I have another tomato plant, and then a whole bunch of tomatillo plants that are bigger than me. Literally. Sorry. They're really tall. And they have a lot of flowers. I haven't seen any fruit set on them. I heard they have to cross-pollinate, so I have 3 of them here kind of bunched together. And you can see flowers and stuff, but I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I've never planted them before, or maybe they don't like shade. I haven't seen any actual fruit set on them. Just a lot of flowers. So this may be just a learning disaster, but you know, gardeners have those too. Not everything works. It's one of those things where, you know, we plant the seed, we water, but really we're nothing. It's God that makes things grow, and so it's a lesson in that. Down here we have celery and some more bean plants that I planted. Another bean plant back there, some marigolds that I planted by seed over here. And yeah, okay, so over here, this was kind of my brassicas. So this was a broccoli plant that I've already harvested, but sometimes they shoot up little extra shoots, so I was just leaving it in there. Lesson for next year, if you're planting cabbages, to buy one of those organic powders that helps them out. Although these cabbages are doing lovely with no, these are more like ornamental cabbages, but they're beautiful, and apparently the bugs don't like them as much. So more nasturtium plants that will flower soon, hopefully. Some kale, Swiss chard. I just planted 3 more pots of Swiss chard for the fall. And I put them in pots that way, you know, if we get an early freeze, I can move them in the garage and extend the harvest a little bit. I've already harvested some kohlrabi, so I figured I'd just put some pots of Swiss chard seeds in there. But there's another little kohlrabi that's not ready yet. Something eating part of it, but the actual kohlrabi seems good still. Alright, so that's my square foot garden. It's doing very lovely. Learning lots of lessons, of course, as usual. And then I'll just take you around here to see some of my pretty flowers and things along the fence line. These are going to be white phlox, I think, that bloom right there. So I'm really excited because some of my gladiolas are getting ready to open up. There's a hydrangea that will bloom soon. And I always have a bazillion weeds to pick, but this guy's gonna bloom soon. I'm excited about that. There's the mulberry bush that we get a lot of mulberries from over there. Alright, another pumpkin plant down here. And then we enter the work zone. It's a crazy area. Looks terrible. I know. Someday I'll fix it. But we have this nice new path that my son made. This is where I make all my dirt, make compost, and you'll see random eggshells and things here because we put all our kitchen scraps and garden weeds in there. And then we come up here and my favorite time of year, when all my purple coneflowers are in bloom. This is kind of my butterfly garden. I've got a lot of milkweed and purple coneflowers, which the butterflies love. Not seeing any this morning, but I see multiple. I've seen yellow swallowtail, blue swallowtail, monarchs, painted ladies, and many dragonflies all through here. So this is kind of just my wild butterfly area. I do have a lilac in the middle that we cut down. It reached all the way up to the trees up there this spring, and we chopped it way down, but it's grown like 1.5 feet just since chopping it down. It's in the middle. Planted a few more different types of, or different colors of coneflowers in here this year in hopes to get it to be a variety of them. We had Asiatic lilies over here and peonies, but they're done. But they were beautiful when they were blooming. Some more coreopsis. Lots of milkweed, bringing all those wonderful insects and butterflies to my yard. And it kind of extends up here. There's some phlox up there that will bloom soon. And I'm kind of weird, but when I mow the lawn, which I am the only one that mows this lawn because I don't trust anybody else, I leave random milkweed throughout the lawn. It's a gardener thing. My geraniums are doing quite lovely. And one of my roses, the Japanese beetles, pretty much decimated. I pruned it back. Don't know if it's going to do anything. But my other rose is starting to open again. This is the second blooming. It bloomed once, I pruned it back, and now I've got lots of buds this time, so that's exciting. I have some canna lilies in here with the Japanese beetles again. Keep trying to decimate. There they are, those ugly things. I hate them. I kill them every time I see them. Alright, we have snapdragons. And these were already in their prime, but I've cut them back and you can see new growth. They're going to bloom again, and that's really exciting. We have Speedwell, another one that I had deadheaded, and it's coming back. Here's some Delphinium that I collected seeds from already and have started in pots in the back to hopefully spread that around. And we have some calendula that I keep deadheading and they keep blooming. Beautiful little pot over here. Just vinca vine and some impatiens. Oh, it's not vinca vine, it's just vinca flower. Sorry, I've planted some seeds in here. Some daisy, lupines. They won't bloom till next year, but they're there. It's another citronella rescue. Lovely little cosmos there. Forgot to show you these beautiful guys. These guys are so pretty. Love Rose of Sharon. I have them all over my yard. Absolutely love them. They're quite the showstopper when they all bloom. They're starting back up there. It's hard to see. Lovely, lovely. Lovely flowers there. Absolutely love them. This is a Weigela, and it had already bloomed in the spring. Another Rose of Sharon that's not blooming yet. I think this one's white. Another purple one there. Another rescue geranium. And some of my hollyhock seeds that I planted. That will come and bloom hopefully next year. Some more phlox and purple coneflowers. I love those guys. Can't get enough. That was a rescue geranium that's already bloomed. And I don't know if it'll bloom again, but I did cut it back. Look at those. Oh, I love them. Love them. Here's another variety. This one's like white with a pink in there. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Some of my baskets. Yeah. Well, this was some cuttings I did up here, and they're doing well. I won't be bushy until probably another few weeks, but they were cuttings from these plants here. So, and there we are. Full tour for those of you who can't make it out here. It's my little haven. I absolutely love it. I spend most of my days out here weeding and taking care of things and watching things grow and marveling at our Creator. And it's really centered me and brought me lots of joy and happiness and just encouraged my spirit so much. So I have plans for bigger, better next year, but we don't know if we'll be here next year, so we're just enjoying this year as it is. And I cannot wait for these cucumbers to develop. And thanks for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate it and hope that this encourages you some. I'll zoom in on these beautiful tomatoes that are ripening to end with. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.